Good evening, good morning, good night. We're watching this transmission. I am Mike Martins. Welcome to another Canadian housing wrap-up. Last week's video got so many views, I've decided to do another housing wrap-up. But this time we're going to include as many major cities in Canada as possible. We got some in Manitoba. I'm just looking at my map here. We got a few cities in Saskatoon. So we're gonna Saskatoon. We got a few. We got cities. We got cities to go over. And it's a very interesting trend in what's happening when the more expensive cities, people that are being bought out of the markets, move east, north, west, or south, depending on what region in Canada they're living in. And it's so interesting how Toronto's severely landlocked. Well, Mike, you got the GTA. Well, that's completely been bought out for the last 2 years. It's out of reach, and now with stress testing and stuff. But there's a little bit of sales in Toronto actually sparking up in the Toronto area. So we'll get into that tonight. I was going to do this on trends in the housing market every Wednesday night where people call in. But there's just too much happening right now in Canada. It's phenomenal. The homelessness, the mass exodus of people from major cities. I'm going to be very interested to see how these big cities are going to flip their bills. Once the blue-collar and white-collar workers leave to greener pastures and there's nobody paying the taxes in those cities, how are they going to fund their hospitals, their doctors, their garbage men? How are they going to fund these things? That is what I'm very interested to see how that works. They're just going to raise taxes, and that's what they're going to do, is raise property taxes. Okay, Toronto condos are shrinking in size. So we're going to start with all of Canada. So these three articles pretty much show all of Canada, kind of like of a little. Then we're going to go from East Coast all the way across to West, okay? So let's read some headlines here. Toronto condos are shrinking in size much faster than Vancouver. Toronto and Vancouver condos are shrinking incredibly fast. Statistics Canada crunched the size of condo apartment using assessment data. The data shows that the medium newer developments are fast shrinking, not all the surprising to most. The surprising to see Toronto condo units shrinking much faster than Vancouver, the city notorious for tiny units. So here it is. Does it show the square footage? Here's the square footage here. So in 1960 and earlier, median size was 840, and then 1900. Okay, so that's all 830 square feet. Okay, then in the 1990s, things got a little bit bigger. 1,000 square feet was the median size for a condo. And then things started getting smaller around 2001 to 2005, where they went to 760, then 740, 681, and 647 is the median size for a condo. So apartment sizes in Toronto are shrinking. Yes. Does it mean it's cheaper? Yes. Is it affordable? No. Here's median condo apartment size. So this is Vancouver median. So obviously in Vancouver, I noticed they were bigger, the condominiums. Okay, so here we go. The median size in 1960 was 777. Then they kind of broke out in the 1981 to 1990, where the 916 square feet. And then back in 2011, 2015, 798 and 769. Where in Toronto, they're just going downhill when it comes to size. And Canadian median condo apartment size. So this Toronto versus Vancouver. Nice graph here. I like how Better Dwelling does this. And Vancouver basically takes the cake going into the future. But Toronto had a lot bigger apartments back in the day. One of my friends, Hector, lives in a really small, tiny apartment. And his parents live in an apartment that was built just after World War II. And let me tell you, phenomenal. It's huge. It's a 2-bedroom, and it's like you could fit a bowling alley in there. It's so big. Anyways, Vancouver real estate sales fall to 19-year low. Losses get larger. What is going on? Canada's most expensive real estate markets continue its downward spiral. Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. Numbers show prices printed another month of declines in April. Price declines were largely due to rising inventory and the fewer sales. Here we go. Let's get to our point here. There's your benchmark price. There's your elephant tusk. Here's your elephant's nose going down here. Elephant trunk going down. There it is there. I like to call it the elephant trunk. Where is it? Sales to, right here, guys. Greater Vancouver Composite Benchmark Price Change. And we're going to be, I'm telling you guys, we're going to be in March 2009 in the next 2 quarters. I really see this happening, guys. I really see this moving that way. And then here we go, inventory to sales. I always bring this up. Greater Vancouver composite sales versus listing. Here we go, guys. Look at that. Wow. April, so let's see March sales. March sales, 1,727. April sales a little bit up, but look at the inventory on the market, 14,000. It's more than, man, it's even before 2015. Look at it right here, right across. Look, it's so we're going to 2007 and 8 territories with that, with supply on the market. So there's an oversupply on the market. So, it's an oversupply on the market, and it's a big issue. I spelled housing wrong on my title. It's hosing. Here, let me fix that for you guys so I don't seem too illiterate here. It does this sometimes. There's this weird spell check in my... Okay, there we go. There we go. I got it right. Hosing. Canadian hosing. Wrap up. That would make sense. Anyways, so here it is. It's the message, guys. Make sure you receive the message. That's what matters. So there it is. Man, look at sales. They're just trying to clinch something. And look at the inventory. There's a massive oversupply on the market. Greater Vancouver's real estate market continues to see price deterioration. Inventory is rising close to historically typical levels, relieving pressure to move higher. Sales, however, are falling to the lowest level in almost 2 decades, sending prices lower. There's very few signs that show near-term improvement to change the direction of trend. Unless people start making an extra $30 an hour right across the board, no one could live in that city. What stress test? Toronto's big real estate prices make the 4th biggest price jump. Demand side measures don't appear to be slowing down. Toronto real estate board numbers show home prices made the 4th largest jump for April. The abrupt increase was accompanied by an annual rise in sales as well as inventory. So, guys, remember, there's a lot of inventory on the market. Is it a buyer's market? Well, we're going to have to find out. We'll get Steve on the show tomorrow. Is it a buyer's market in Toronto? According to what this is saying here, it looks like things are pecking back up, but I beg to differ, but you know what? It is what it is, and it is what it's showing. But you do have your uptick here when you look at benchmark price change. Our prices going up. They're not going up 2016, 2017 levels, that's for sure. But there is an uptick in the market, and I'm not going to lie, there's definitely an uptick. And the Greater Toronto sales price change, a little bit of uptick in the market before if it falls back down to negative territory. Look at 2018. Holy smokes. This is anomaly. This doesn't even exist. They don't even count this when they're factoring in numbers. Greater Toronto home sales up, kind of. Home sales across Greater Toronto are up from last year, but still weak from an overall picture. Tree reported 9,042 homes sales in April, up 16.8% from last year. The city of Toronto represented 3,234 of those sales, up 9.77% from last year, while higher than last year. This was the 3rd fewest sales for the month of April in the past decade. Standard revisions of sales numbers typically lower sales by 20 to 40 units, which means it's very likely to be revised as the 2nd fewest over the past 20 years. The median number of sales for the month were exactly the same number of sales. Greater Toronto April home sales. So here it is. And that's 2018. So these are for April home sales. So here's 2010 of April. So you're matching up close to 2011, I guess. Inventory rising in the city, falling in the suburbs. This is very important, guys. So here are the new listings and the sales. Look at the over-exuberance of listings versus sales. Right now, new listings, actual sales. Wow. Is it a buyer's market in Toronto? I don't think so, because I think affordability levels are right out the window. To be very frank with you, don't take my advice. Remember, guys, on my channel, do your own research. Don't depend on me. Go out, do your own research. Don't depend on your real estate agent. Don't depend on your broker. Don't depend on your bank. Everyone's there to make commission. A lot of them really don't care if you get a product that's going to better serve you. So here it is here. Greater Toronto active listings. So there is a lot on the market. So we are basically from 2018 to 2019, listings are pretty much in check, especially with 2015. And it looks like, what is that, 2011. So Toronto looks like it's going to see an uptick. Trust me, I know how this feels when it goes up a bit and people are like, you know, I watch the stock market every single day, and trust me, when I see it go up a lot, I'm like, whoa, hey, there's no stopping it now. And then 3 days later, blah, it's all red. Then a month later, oh, it's all green, I'm back up again. And then 4 days after that, bah, it's all red. So believe me, it's an up and down swing. We're going to see where this one goes. It's going to be very interesting. Vancouver's housing market is dismal, but you still need six-figure income to get your foot in the door. So still out of reach for household incomes for $100,000 to $120,000. We discussed this many times on the show. Housing numbers out of Vancouver among the world's hottest real estate markets are getting more dismal with each passing month. So real estate has been our oil in many ways. So Alberta has its oil, and BC's basically economy is based off of real estate, debt bubbles. It's been a dominant factor in our regional economy. That's exactly what's been building up the economy, is putting people into debt, right? So here is a graph, housing sales in Canada, and you're seeing Toronto. Obviously, it's a bigger city, but look at Vancouver. Look at that. It's having a really tough time staying above the 2,400 mark. Toronto is just below way below, quite a bit below, in between the 5 and the 6, just above the $6,000 sale mark in housing sales in Toronto. Remember, there's a bigger population in Toronto, right? A lot bigger population in Toronto. So we still have huge affordability issues, of course, where it's still out of reach for household incomes of $100,000 to $120,000. She said we don't have the right mix of housing. Brain drain. I've been bringing up brain drain. Go to my channel, go to my search, look at brain drain. You'll see a million brain drain stories I've been talking about. With Canada's rising household debt levels previously high, more needs to be done to lift incomes to have stagnant for years in British Columbia and real estate-fueled economies, according to Vrooman. Real estate has been our oil in many ways. Okay, so hearts and minds, people leaving, taxes are going up. So when housing prices go down and you think it's affordable to buy, do your research and find out what property taxes are going to set you back, because they're not going to take a loss. The cities won't take a loss, people. Next, 5 Vancouver detached homes that have sold for less than $1 million. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So we got 4 houses. Let's see this year. 5 Vancouver detached homes sold for under $1 million. There's people in Arizona like looking at this like, did they only make mansions up in Canada? What's going up in Canada? Wow, this is the first time. Watch. That was just a listing, not a sale. And okay, so it was a listing. At the point it was news. Now, not so much. A demand shrinks and supply grows. The appearance of Vancouver's homes now selling for less than $1 million is becoming more common. This is severely uncommon to see something in a place like Vancouver. According to real estate blogger Steve Soretsky, Vancouver's housing sales in the first part of 2019 were the lowest levels in 30 years. So here it is, $930,000 right here. There's your $930,000 listing right there. There's the other one, $920,000. Nice curtains, $950. Oh, this is a beaut, $980. That looks like they repainted the stairs and painted the windows. $880, $880,000. People are probably saying, oh, Mike, you know what? You're just jealous. You know, it's because Vancouver's like Beverly Hills and stuff, or Santa Barbara or West Palm Beach or something. You know, you're just jealous. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. There's growing evidence that overbuilding in Calgary's housing market, says a report. Guys, Calgary right now is in an overbuilding mode. I've been saying this for a long time now, that Calgary in the province of Alberta has a major oversupply. A new analysis of the stability of the housing market in Calgary has found that there is currently moderate evidence of overbuilding. According to today's release in 2019 second quarter housing market assessment by Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, developers are slowing down production in the ownership market and new home sale volumes continue to fall at a faster rate, effectively keeping inventories elevated. But there was an exception with apartments which have seen a downward trend since their peak in 2017. So prospective buyers in Calgary face a number of demand headwinds such as high unemployment rate, a lack of growth in real personal disposable income, and higher interest rates, which has prompted buyers to seek more affordable options in the markets, reads the report. So everyone jumps onto the condo market and townhouse market, right? Nothing detached sells, right? Evidence of overheating, low as sales moderate. There it is. You can see it right here. There's the percentage ratio sales. Sales to new listings ratio is sitting at, what is this? I can't even see this here. This is sitting at 37%. And here's your moderate evidence of overvaluation as home prices move lower and local economy continues to grow. So there it is there. And here are your maximum overvaluation. These are the gaps, maximum overvaluation gaps. We should have Better Dwelling do an article for us that actually show the maximum overvaluation gaps in Vancouver and Toronto to give us the average overvaluation estimates to what incomes are. So then we could just take the average income. So it said in that other article, people making $100,000 can't afford to live in Vancouver. So how much over is it? All right. I'm thinking the average house needs to sit at $420. Average for those homes we saw that were $1 million, 990 or something, under $1 million. They need to sit at around 400 to 440,000. I mean, that's being generous with that price, because realistically, a lot of those houses in other cities I don't even want to go there. So here it is, oversupply in the Calgary market, construction slowing down. Calgary housing market looks to thaw a little in spring. Sluggish market picks up slightly in early days of the season, says realtor. So they're seeing a bit of spring sales and a lot of people mass exodusing British Columbia because it's just so expensive to live here, and moving across the eastern provincial border into Alberta. And they're starting to see a little bit of adjustments in the condo sales going up, a slight tick, and added the pockets in the market contain price ranges mainly in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, where demand is relatively brisk, even if prices remain stagnant. So 300 to 400 large, you need at least 91,000 gross a year. Oh, they pay less tax in Alberta, so about 81,000 large a year to kind of service that mortgage. So a household income that's kind of more realistic, right? More realistic, because the more you make, the higher the tax bracket you get thrown into, right? Edmonton tops in province for overbuilding homes. Again, CMHC is reporting this. Edmonton's housing market assessment remains at the moderate degree of overall vulnerability due to overbuilding, says the Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation. The rental market is tightening in Edmonton, while the imbalance between supply and demand in the ownership market is widening, states the CMHC housing market assessment released on Thursday. As of February 2019, 61% of the total single and semi-detached housing inventory in Alberta's 7 largest markets combined was Edmonton. So I read that in the other article. Best evidence of overheating exists in the resale markets of Montreal and Montcalm due to tightening supply and demand. We're going to get to Montcalm later. I got it open here. We're going to go to New Brunswick. We're going to go everywhere. The average price of a single-family home was $427, an increase of 0.96% compared to March 2019, but down 0.82% of April 2018. So houses are sitting in and around, the average price of a condo was $228. Okay, that's normal. A jump of 7% from March of 2019, but a decrease of 7.93% year over year. So you got to remember, guys, $228 for a condo, that's an average. That is very workable and serviceable. If you're making in and around $51,000 to $67,000 a year, you could service a mortgage like that very easy, even if rates go up to 6%. you could easily service that kind of mortgage. You're paying 12, 13, 14, 15, $16,000 a year to service that mortgage. So it's not that bad for 228. Nice, Antonio. Okay, Daddy's making a video, sweetie. Va pra cima, okay?
Hi.
Hi.
I have a clothes.
Yeah, he's got a suit. Go upstairs. Go upstairs.
I have that.
Okay, fecha a porta. Thank you, baby.
What are you doing?
Close the door.
Why?
Okay, so the sales are not looking good right now. Sales are looking good for the cheaper inventory. That's my kids. I got a family. I got a beautiful family. I spent the whole day with them today. 486 sleep homeless in Edmonton River while shelter beds go unused. I needed to bring this up in this. When you have 486 Edmonton while shelter beds go unused. That's not good. How many beds does it say here? Commercials. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there's not much, but it's not good when that's happening. Housing sales jump 18% in Saskatoon during April. So Saskatoon seeing a huge jump. Let me bring out my trusty little map here so you guys could get an idea where I'm talking about. So here we are in Canada. So there's Calgary, and Saskatoon is over here. Cha-cha. So it's just east of Alberta. So it's the next province over of the one I was speaking about. There it is, Saskatoon. So let's get into the middle of Canada, mid-Canada here. Housing demand in April was the strongest it's been in 3 years. So people are moving to these cities. Homes purchased for the month totaled 513 for the region compared to 433 last year and 414 in April 2017. People came out of hibernation and said, it's time to Srar, CEO, said in the statement. We're seeing the beginning of a spring market, which is nice. Year-to-date sales are up 7%, which is nice. 1,440 homes purchased. That's even more than Vancouver, compared to 1,342 in 2018 and 1,368 in 2017. Said possible factors influencing the market: stable interest rates and low prices. So let's find out. The townhouse benchmark was up. Oh, no, detached. Okay, the benchmark for the single-family home in Saskatoon rose 1.7% from the previous month from 301,000, but demand remained down 0.7% from a year ago. So 301,000 for the detached family home is very, very workable. That's about $16,000 a year to service a mortgage like that in finance charges. The townhouse benchmark was up 1.2% month over month, 214,000, but is off 4.8% year over year. There was a slight uptick of 0.3%. So the townhouse benchmark 214. Very good, very easy to manage that kind of borrowing. And then there was a slight uptick of 0.3% in the apartment condo prices at 171, but down 4.6% from April 2018. So Saskatoon seeing some good numbers. And it is in the very affordable area. So a lot of people are asking me, Mike, I want to stay in Canada. Where could I go? You know, if you're a professional, Saskatoon, it's not that bad. I've driven through there many times. It's a nice city. It's got a beautiful mall. I went through it. I ate downtown. I think it was at Boston Pizza. I couldn't remember where I ate, but I ate somewhere downtown. Had a really good time with the wife. But yeah, Saskatoon for sure is you're going to start seeing... You're going to see it just basically take off this summer, especially with housing sales jumping 18% during April. That's really good. Vulnerability still exists in Saskatoon's housing market, says CMHC. Moderate degree of vulnerability still exists in Saskatoon due to overbuilding, according to new report. So Saskatoon is bracing itself with more to throw on the market just to make sure they don't have an undersupply. So they don't have a supply versus demand issue the other cities had, which they never had. It was all empty homes. So let's move on. Mortgage stress test, PST, continue to affect Saskatoon new home market. So new home market's taking a hit in the region. Saskatoon Region Home Builders Association said Friday there continues to be a year-over-year decline in new home starts due in large part to government policies. So this whole foreign buyers tax, PST, raising interest rates, all this crap they're doing is helping the bigger cities that are getting engulfed by foreign investing, but it's not helping the more inexpensive cities and making it harder for people to get into the first-time buyers or into the new housing market. And that's what Saskatoon is feeling with the pinch right now. Homeless camp cleared by police, and it isn't going away. So where's this? This is in Winnipeg, people. So more homeless camps popping up everywhere, and they're getting bigger by every season. They keep getting bigger. Homeless tent cities play life-saving role, should be embraced, not battle, expert says. We need to have a fundamental conversation here with respect to mental health. So Canada shut down a lot of its mental health facilities. Riverbrook, Sunnybrook, I think all of those in Vancouver closed. And they said it was against human rights to house people with mental issues or something. That was way back in the day. I'm not too sure. Winnipeg's housing market sizzles into March. So housing market is going up in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's housing market continues to sizzle with another month of increased sales. Again, Winnipeg is going to go up. What is the majority of transaction? Detached houses, homes selling for the average of $327,000. The number of homes sold January was 634, an increase of 11% over the same month last year. Sales are up 8% from year to date and only 2% behind the recorded set pace of 2016. So it's good to see that Winnipeg's sales are upticking. You're having a spring sales, definitely having spring sales right now in Winnipeg. Why? Because the benchmark price is more affordable. Gwandal, 5-year decline predicts for Thunder Bay housing prices. Thunder Bay, this is in Northern Ontario. I'm going to show you where this is. So there's Saskatoon, and we're going to move a bit east here to Winnipeg, where we just were, and then Thunder Bay is up here in northwestern Ontario, way up here, and it's cold pretty much all. I was there in July, and it was freezing there. Thunder Bay, a new forecast reiterates analysis observation last fall that house prices in Thunder Bay between the third quarter of 2018 and 2023 will slip gradually. The difference of the previous prediction is that the downward trend will be marginally quicker. So they're saying basically it's not looking good right now for Thunder Bay, and prices have been in decline for 5 years. Ottawa's tight housing market continues as average price for a single-family home nears $500,000. There we go. Ottawa now in northern Ontario. Well, not northern, more of a central Ontario. Let me show you guys where that is. So you're going to go around the pond here to Ottawa, right here. Just west of Montreal, you got Ottawa, our country's capital. But I remember a year and a half ago when prices were $300,000. See, here it is right here. The average selling price of a single-family home in Ottawa jumped 7.4% in April, hitting $488,729 according to the Ottawa Real Estate Board. Let's see if they have a graph here showing what they were back in the day. Here, homes between $350 and $499 became the most attractive price point for buyers in the residential market, accounting 44% of April's transaction. A total of 28.5% of residential sales were valued between $500,000 and $749,000. So you're seeing major increases now. Affordability levels now in Ottawa are starting to become way out of reach. And people, will, just like the same patterns everywhere, will start jumping on the cheaper inventory like condos and townhouses. Ottawa stress test is demolishing Canadians' housing dreams. Which party will rebuild them? So here's the deal. They keep saying stress test is shattering people's dreams. No, it's not. It's in place. That's why all the cheaper homes and everything that was cheaper and affordable has sold off. And then now we can't get into a house because of this stress test. But the houses that were $300,000 2 years ago, you got in, no problem. But now that they're sitting at $500,000 large, we got ourselves a problem here, right? And people are not making enough income to service these debts. Economic data back that up. The home ownership rate in Canada fell between 2011 and 2016 for the first time in living memory. Damage from the stress tests have been enormous beyond what many thought was the worst case. So the stress test is damaging, but income $70,000 could only get help with a mortgage up to $280 because the government plans to limit the mortgage to 4 times the income. That's what it's supposed to be, okay? In theory, the maximum eligible mortgage is $480, but very few people would qualify for that. Meanwhile, the average price of a home in Toronto is over $780. So yeah, it's out of reach. It's getting out of reach in Ottawa. So if you're living in Ottawa, in that area, it might be a seller's market if you play your cards right. Remember, don't take financial advice from me. I can't read. Montreal. So we're going to go east to Montreal from Ottawa. Hot real estate market spawns are a rare phenomenon. Sorry, someone just smashed the front door there. Whoa, scared. Shook my wall here. Montreal hot real estate market spawns rare phenomena, bidding wars. Again, we're seeing bidding wars in Montreal. Again, it is happening, guys. You know it's happening. Because people are moving to cheaper areas. It's probably going to get worse. Montreal's hot real estate market spawns once rare bidding wars. Again, we know what's happening with that. And we'll go over to Moncton, New Brunswick. Greater Moncton home sales in 2019 shatter sales records in Q1. Where's Moncton? I think it's in Nova Scotia or somewhere there, or New Brunswick. Overall, Atlantic Canada is poised for a strong housing market performance in 2019. Economic performance ramps up, unemployment rates decline, and the first-time buyer incentives at both provincial and federal government levels take hold. So here it is, New Brunswick. So here's New Brunswick is a seller's market according to them. It's up 7.3%. Average home price is up 2.3%. And the average home in Q1 of 2019 is $180,812. So you're seeing a lot of people fleeing to those regions of Canada. Let me show you guys here where this is. A lot of people from the States and Commonwealth watching here. So here it is. Moncton is right here in New Brunswick, and then you got Nova Scotia here. So you got that area here. That's where it is in Canada. Far East Atlantic Canada here. And what am I looking at here? Okay, am I in the wrong? Yeah, I'm in the wrong window here. So New Brunswick, so still very affordable there. Housing affordability drives up demand in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Again, same thing. Affordability is driving up demand. Average price edged higher to $122,551. A 1% increase over years ago levels. Affordability, key factor in Sydney's housing market, with 3-bedroom home prices starting between $130,000 and $180,000, selling within 14 days. Guys, remember, this is what happened in Sydney, Australia, Melbourne, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand. People flee to where it's affordable. There you go. Their turnkey property needs to be under $150,000 ceiling for the typical person living there. Sydney River, Cox Heath, where prices were climbing over $200,000. Holy crap. Because I know Nova Scotia, like and New Brunswick, you could still buy a house in American American value pricing. Like this house in Maine would probably be the same price, or Vermont would probably be the same price, right? So let's move on. Halifax housing market fueled by population growth, affordability, and stable interest rates. There it is, beautiful Halifax. Overall, Atlantic Canada is poised for a strong housing market performance. Again, it says the same thing. Let's get to the numbers. Dartmouth rose 6% to $318,000 in Q1 and $302,000 during the same period in 2018. Tight inventory levels, especially at the $300,000 to the $350,000 price. That's pretty expensive in the downtown Halifax, Dartmouth area, Nova Scotia. That's pretty pricey. Toronto housing market heats up as sales jump 16.8%. So his sales are jumping up, but when we saw that market, it's a really short article. Let's take a look at this. Oops. The Greater Toronto Area housing market saw an early spring sales surge last month in the latest sign of sharp divergence between the country's two most scrutinized real estate hubs. Sales across the GTA rose 16.8% year over year in April. 9,042 properties traded hands, according to the data released by the Toronto Real Estate Board, TREB, on Monday. Selling activity picked up across all property types, with detached home sales rising the fastest at 21.9%. The average selling price across the GTA for detached properties slipped in April, while the average selling price for properties inched 1.9% year over year at $820,000. The sales spike in Toronto stands in stark contrast to the greater Vancouver area's housing market, where sales tumbled 29.1% year over year last month. Nevertheless, Toronto's real estate board on Monday took another swipe at the stress test to uninsured homebuyers that took effect to the start of the last year and weighed down housing markets in the process. That was very important. While sales were up year over year in April, it is important to note that they remain well below April levels for much of past decade, said Trebe chief market analyst Jason Mercer in release. Many potential home buyers arguably remain on the sidelines as they reassess their options in light of the OSFI mandate of 2 percentage point stress test on mortgages. Guys, do your own research. I'm not offering any financial or retail advice. Do not trust anybody. Nobody. You do your homework. You look at what things are at. You are making your biggest investment of your life. Guys, coast to coast, Canada, here you go. That's it right there. I need you guys to share this video and get this out there and get the market, get people informed on what's going on from Canada, coast to coast. This is your Canadian weekly housing wrap-up. I'm going to try and do one every week when there's enough stories. This week we had a good amount of stories to cover. You got some really hot markets sizzling, and then you got some really poor markets. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.